Good afternoon, and thank you for tuning in. I'm Rich Trumka, president of the AFL CIO. We're 12.5 million members proud and 55 unions strong. I grew up in a coal town in southwestern Pennsylvania. Losing a job was something my parents feared, our neighbors feared, our entire community feared. Today, that fear has become reality for tens of millions of people across the country. The coronavirus crisis has torn through our nation. It's turned our world upside down. And it didn't have to be this way. Years of weakening our public health system and months of ignoring warnings have left us here. As the death toll continues to climb, as hospitals are being pushed to the brink, as workers sacrifice and serve on the front lines. We can't forget that millions of hardworking people have been forced to the sidelines, out of work through no fault of their own. Before COVID-19 hit, 7 million of you were already unemployed. In just the past 7 weeks, over 33 more of you have lost a job. And studies show that for every 10 people who successfully file for unemployment, another 3 or 4 can't get through, and 2 more don't even try. So it's likely that 50 million people are currently out of a job. That's a quarter of the workforce. If we don't act, we'll be inviting a second Great Depression. Working people will suffer in a way that we haven't seen in our lifetime. Our economy will come apart because nothing works when we aren't working. Already, more than 12 million of you have lost your health insurance when you lost your jobs. Tens of millions more could be next. And many of you who are suddenly uninsured won't qualify for existing programs like Medicaid. Now think about that. Losing health care in the middle of a recession is bad enough. But in the middle of a global pandemic with no end in sight, that's criminal. And we have to do something. Let's learn the lessons of the past decade. Let's learn the lessons from just this past month. We know what doesn't work. There are people in Congress who think the solution is to let cities and states collapse under the pressure of the virus. But the Great Recession taught us that cutting state and local budgets is not the answer. Despite what Mitch McConnell thinks, letting state and local governments go bankrupt is not a solution. It's a scam. Forcing first responders and teachers and other public service workers into unemployment is a drag on the economy. And because of the vital work they do, it's a danger to all of us. How on earth will we beat the virus without them? We should also learn a lesson from the first chapter of this current crisis. Health and safety must come first. Let's remember why we all shut everything down in the first place. To give our overburdened healthcare system time and space to help those who needed it. And to keep new cases to a minimum. You see, if we open before we're ready, if we open because we're impatient, if we send our workers into unsafe workplaces and send consumers into unsafe communities, we'll not be reopening a healthy economy. We'll be reopening an economic wound, and we'll make it much harder to heal down the road. Impatience and imprudence will create a catastrophe of sickness, joblessness, and economic collapse. We can see the iceberg coming. Now it's our chance to steer out of the way. See, there are a lot of terrible words to describe what is happening. The worst, the hardest, the deadliest, and so on. But it's not time for hyperbole. It's a time for humanity. Behind America's tragic unemployment numbers are real people. People like Susie Wilson, a member of Unite Here from Philadelphia. For 20 years, she worked as a housekeeper and a cook. Every morning, she woke up at 5:15, took 2 buses to make her 7 a.m. shift as a restaurant prep cook. Susie's worked all of her life. She's been chasing the idea of a better life. She's done everything asked of her. And then one morning in March, she woke up with no job and no health care. Instead of being protected by a safety net, she's caught in credit card debt, racking up fees just to afford food until she can get some unemployment support. Susie didn't do anything wrong. Why are we treating her and the millions like her this way? And what about Shirley Thomas, an AFSCME member in Florida? She's been a public school custodian for over 19 years. This whole time, her motivation has stayed the same. She loves being around students. She treats them like her own, with love and with care. She took pride in keeping the classrooms and bathrooms and cafeteria clean so her students could keep on learning and growing. Last month, school was canceled and she was furloughed. There's no telling when or if she'll get back to work. That's had a dangerous ripple effect. After all, Shirley's the head of her household. She's not the only one who depends on that paycheck. It provides her 2 daughters, her sister, and her brother, who's recovering from a stroke. Without income, Shirley won't know how she'll be able to gas up the car and take her brother to the doctor. She's also making personal sacrifices that are unfathomable, that none of us would ever want to make, that no one in this country should ever have to make. You see, Shirley's diabetic, and without her health care, her medications are so expensive that she's rationing what she has left. She's even canceled a procedure to remove a blood clot. Here's how Shirley put it. She said, "My job gave me stability to take care of my kids. It gave me stability knowing that I would be able to retire. And overnight, that stability is gone. But I'll continue to live by prayer." Shirley, we're praying for you, but we're also fighting for you. No one should be living by a prayer or hanging by a thread. Where's our sense of solidarity for Shirley and Susie and the millions who have lost their job? These days will likely be the greatest test of our lifetime. So I want to call on us, the employed and the jobless, the insured and the uninsured, those suffering at home and those risking everything on the front line, to come together as one. One family, one nation, one purpose. If we don't look out for our neighbors, we all fail. We all suffer. And we can't expect to recover. If we continue on this current path, if we get impatient, if we think enough has been done already, we'll soon pass a point of no return. Our federal government, our Congress must act swiftly, boldly, and if necessarily, electronically. Now, here's my message to Congress. You have 2 main jobs right now. Keep people safe and alive, and keep people on payrolls. End the pandemic of politics now. Don't tell us this is about the national debt. We're worried about our lives and our livelihoods. Don't tell us that we should wait a little longer for unemployment benefits that we've earned or health insurance that we deserve. We've waited long enough. Don't tell us we should sacrifice our pension. We earned that. Don't tell us states should go bankrupt or that federal relief is a blue state bailout. We're all vulnerable. And here's the good news. There are practical solutions on the table. We can use federal funding to keep people employed and guarantee everyone's paycheck for the duration of the crisis. This concept is neither new nor radical. It's been done before. Employers have to lay off workers or shut down, can certify their payrolls to the federal government. The government pays for the employer to pay their employees. No money goes to CEOs or to Wall Street, just to workers. Payroll support has been endorsed across the political spectrum, from Republican Senator Josh Hawley of Missouri to Congresswoman Pramila Jayapal, co-chair of the Congressional Progressive Caucus. It's supported by Alabama's Doug Jones and Vermont's Bernie Sanders. And it's gaining traction among business and labor. Yes, we have to work out some of the details. But that's what governing is all about. What better time to put aside party labels and do what is necessary to keep America whole? Trust me, every worker would rather receive a paycheck than an unemployment check. But that's not all we want. Our jobs are a source of dignity, a piece of our pride. We're ready to get back to work. We're ready to rebuild America, a nation built by unions. We've made this country better, and we're going to do it again. We're not holding out hope for a return to normal. Workers know normal wasn't working for us. COVID-19 exposed the cracks already in our system. Now is our moment to do more, to be more, and to expect more. We all need to stand together, whether we have a job or you're out of work, whether you're in a union or not. America's labor movement is ready to do the hard work of winning a better day. May God shed his grace on the sick and the suffering, and may God bless each and every one of you. Stay safe, please.